and it gives me choices for how I want to farm. This is where I want to farm. And I believe one of the most exciting opportunities before us for small farms and new and beginning farmers is taking a look at public spaces, land that's sitting empty in urban areas, plots that are surrounding urban areas that could be farmed to create the access of where the people are. I am very optimistic that farming over this century will be so different, I can't even imagine what it's like. Rooftops, sides of buildings, container farms. You know, San Francisco was the first one to create a food policy council that actually did an inventory of all the open space in San Francisco. Where could they have community gardens, but where is there large enough land mass, which hopefully isn't a brownfield, that can be farmed to grow food, that can create opportunities. I'm looking at all of the funding that I used to be able to provide to fairs is gone. But those fairgrounds are essential community resources. How can we use those fairgrounds, that open space, that's a vital part of most communities in the state? Can we create incubator farms? Could we use those facilities and hopefully get some changes in the regs so that my friends at USDA Rural Development can help us upgrade to commercial kitchens? How can we make that fair ground something that's fundamentally helping us grow new farmers and new farming and farming business opportunities? Can we use those as connectors? Can we use those as incubators? Can we make the whole system work? How creative can we be going forward into our future? That is the challenge for all of us, and it's really not sitting down just being from a farmer's point of view or just from an eater's point of view. There's a whole bunch of things in between. So you've already scooped me on some of the things that we've done this year, but I'm going to talk about a few others. We have the direct marketing work group, which has 5 subcommittees. I'm looking at Bob. Where's Dave Runston? Dan Best. Lots of people in this room have been so kind and generous with their time to help us think through what are some of the solutions. How do we want to approach this? We have farm bureaus. We have county health officers. I think we have all the viewpoints at the table to really think this through. Farmers markets, community-supported agriculture, access. We have the food banks there. You know, this state, like the nation, still has 20% of our population that's food insecure. That should never happen in the world's most productive agricultural state. So we're really looking at what are the opportunities to increase contributions, but also working with food banks to become aggregation hubs for regional food systems. So I want you all to know we are very dedicated to working with you to finding solutions to really increase the local regional food systems. We have, here at the table back here, the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. Now, this is really, really fun for me because I don't have money, except that in the Farm Bill, this fabulous program was created, and so the money comes through me. And Kathy and her staff have done such a great job of really thinking through thematically how we get this money out to the citizens of California and have it benefit the farmers of specialty crops in California. And so we have the themes, one of them being how do we improve access to fruits and vegetables and healthy foods? And there's a lot that can fall under that umbrella. We also have a theme for helping small farmers and ranchers with their research needs, with their environmental needs, with regulatory needs, with food and ag literacy needs. So if you aren't familiar with that program, and I hope you are because it's in its 5th year, please acquaint yourself with it. The good news is we get about $17 million a year. It goes through a very competitive process. We have 70 volunteers that serve on review committees, so it's not political. I'd love to get in there and select the winners myself, but they won't let me do that, and that's probably a wise thing. The good news is we have $17 million a year. The bad news is it's a very long process, and so applications for this year, that application deadline has already closed, and the committees have already selected concepts that have been invited back for full proposals. But within a very short period of time, we'll be soliciting proposals for next year. And this is one of those programs for the Farm Bill that I hope you all will weigh in and say this is a valuable program and we really want to be able to do it. So we have the Specialty Block Grant Program. As was mentioned, we have a farm to school work group. It's very interesting when we took office last year, there were a lot of people at the Public Health Office and over at Department of Education working on farm to school. Well, they forgot to connect with the farming community on a statewide basis, even though they're doing it at the local level. So our office has become kind of a coordinator of those efforts and also connecting back to the regional associations and people that are working on farm to school and institutional buying at the local level so that I think we can really transform what the opportunities are going to be. We have the Healthy Food Finance Initiative. Speaker Perez passed that legislation last year and requires my department to come up with a list of recommendations by June 30th of this year. And these will be recommendations to both the executive branch as well as to the legislature of what we can do to increase access to healthy food for all California citizens. Now, Speaker Perez was thinking grocery stores, because when you build a grocery store, you create a lot of jobs, and it becomes economic development in underserved neighborhoods. But trust me, the recommendations that we're going to get out of this advisory committee really take a look at everything from growing the food closer to where the people are, to having farmers markets, to having aggregation hubs, to really look at the full set of solutions. It's not just grocery stores. We also have 2 statewide policies that I want to familiarize you with. One is Health in All Policies, which was done by the Strategic Growth Council. One of its strategic objectives is that in the state of California, we will work towards making sure that every California citizen has access to healthy, safe, California-grown food in their workplace, where they live, and where they go to school, which aligns very nicely with strategic objective number 1 in Ag Vision, which is that every Californian, and these were written separately, trust me, every Californian will have access to healthy, safe, California-grown food, regardless of where they live and work. And one of the goals under this, the State Board of Food and Agriculture has taken on, is for farmer contributions of food to food banks to double over the next 5 years, and we're on track to be able to do that. This document is actually a very important document because it doesn't belong to one person. It belongs to all of us. Ag Vision was a process that we started 3 years ago to really think through if we want to have agriculture be viable in this state 20 and 30 and 40 years from now, are we making the right decisions to ensure that? Because we're watching farmland go away, not always having water or labor, not every citizen having access. So we embarked on a 2.5-year process of listening sessions around the state of California. Hundreds and hundreds of people from all walks of life weighed in on what was their vision for California agriculture in the year 2030. We did facilitated workshops. We had people come together with fabulous ideas. I mean, this room was filled with charts of ideas and boiled it down to 12 strategic objectives. Access is at the beginning of that. Nurturing the next generation of farmers and ranchers is one of our objectives. Making sure that we have research to equip us to meet the environmental and food safety challenges of the 21st century. Conserving land and water and figuring out how much does it take to meet the demands of a fast-growing population. We have expanding environmental stewardship on farms. How do we make those things work? And how do we convene lots of different people to make that happen? And one of the most exciting movements that I've seen in this state has been the creation of local food policy councils or ag alliances. I just spoke at the Ventura County one 2 weeks ago. I was down in San Diego when they presented their report. Think about 25 of these in the state of California, focused on very similar goals and objectives, where farmers are at the table with farm workers and food access and social justice representatives to think through at the local level, how do we have a healthy community, a healthy environment, a healthy local economy, and healthy people. Food is the common denominator there. Food is it. Food serves all of those things, and it helps to nurture community. With 25 food policy councils doing the work that they're doing, I believe that we can pull together things on a statewide basis to fill in the gaps in those communities who simply don't have the capacity to do that. A lot of funders from the NGO community are investing in the capacity building to help these local organizations work, but I have never, ever, ever seen this kind of emphasis and commitment around the topic of food and farming. And I think it is a challenge for us to stand up and accept, to look at how each one of us can play a role in that, to think about how fortunate we are to have all of you who do small farms and then take it to a market and directly connect with the person who's going to go home and eat it and prepare it for their family.